Well, well, thank you, everybody. Like they used to say in Second Life, yeehaw! 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 I think that comes from a rodeo or something, but there was a sound effect in Second Life once upon a time, and you appreciated the musician by, um, if you didn't want to applaud, you yeehawed. You just typed yeehaw, and the sound went with it, and yeehaw, yeehaw. Anyway, let's get serious, shall we?
Yeah.
Well, if we can. I mean,
No,
you know what we're like. We don't really get
right,
serious
right.
here, but
Not necessary.
we try. We try. We've still got news to bring you, as it were, albeit a shorter amount this week, I think, in general.
Mm.
My name is Mal Burns, M-A-L, one word, B-U-R-N-S, second word. But to find me on Twitter, you've got to go to twitter.com, squashed. Yes. Or rather, twitter.com/MALBURNS, my two forename and surname squashed together as one word. So that's that.
That's
And
that.
while you're there, you can also find another Twitter feed for Metaworld News, this very program. And again, they've cropped the space, so it's squashed into one word. Twitter.com, Metaworld, no space news. But no space. Just no space, if you know what I mean. Right, okay.
We
So
get
much for
it.
reading out so much for reading out things in a sensible way. Okay, so as I said, I'm Mal Burns, and I will be bringing you, along with James here, the headlines for the week ending. Yes, ending. The 28th of March, in general, that is. I mentioned James. I'm joined by James. Hello, James.
Oh, hello, Mal. How are you today?
I am fine. I
All
have
right.
now gone into British summertime, like you lot over there,
Oh, yes.
and the weather forecast is forecasting very hot next week.
Mm.
Like not Mars, not March hot, Mars hot. There
Oh,
is Mars, which is the hot. No, Venus is the hot one. That, yeah,
Venus, right? Oh,
well,
yeah.
hotter than the Mediterranean.
Oh,
And
my.
Mediterranean's more or less down by the equator, so if we're hotter
Right,
than
right.
that, it does suppose. But of course, it's all global warming. You have to sort of, you never know whether you're going to wake up in the morning and the kettle is cold or hot.
All right, right.
It's that you can't predict for switching on your overnight heating. You put it on, you wake up, and not only is the indoors a sauna, but outdoors is worse.
Right, right.
And then you turn it off, and the next day it's snowing outside and sub-zero temperatures.
Well, I've
God,
brought a
not
shirt
win.
today. I've got a
Indeed,
shirt, no
indeed, I'll see.
animation, but one of my favorite video games. It's a character Link from Zelda on top of one of my favorite anime movies, Totoro. So kind of a fun shirt. And this is from a creator named Lasulix. Lasulix's store. So no
Very good.
animation, no glow, but still a lovely shirt.
Oh, it's still pretty. Yeah, it's still
Yeah, yeah.
pretty.
Yep.
I wore an old T-shirt by the cartoonist form Bode for
Oh.
so many years that it ended up being whole. It looked moth-bitten, and it wasn't. I just wore it completely out.
Oh
It was
my,
such a
okay.
shame. It was such a shame as Anne made one by, and it would, as a comic collector, it would now be worth a small fortune.
Oh, truly.
I should have put it in a bag and not worn it, but I
Mm-hmm.
just it
Mm-hmm.
was a really nice shirt for wearing, so I wore it. And yeah, what happens when you wear shirts? They eventually
Wow.
wear out. That's
Right.
what they call wearing, isn't it? Wearing, wear out.
By
Well, it's,
definition, yes.
yeah, by definition, there's some kind of correlation there. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, well, talking about wearing out, I had better get started with the news before I wear myself out.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm forgetting to mention that James is also very kindly twiddling knobs in the background, bringing my desktop and the in-world environment together so you can see the links I'm talking about as
Oh
I'm
yeah.
telling you about them as well, um, which always helps a little bit. You don't always get the full links, by the way, when I'm giving out, websites. So if you do have any problems, just go to twitter.com/malburns and look through the posts from the last week. And whatever link you find there will be a link to the actual page of the actual website, if you see what I mean. Anyway, I'm going to start off um, with on screen at the moment. This is scarredghost.com, SKARREDGHOST.com. And it's the week peak, as it's called. Now, I'm actually scrolled down a little bit here because he's also he's in Italy, and I guess they've just entered summertime too. So he says, "Happy spring, everyone. Winter is over. The trees are blossoming again."
Mm.
And he hopes that wherever you are, even if you're in lockdown like me, you can enjoy the sun, the birds, and the love that this season carries with it. So I concur. I concur. I will now just flip back to the top of the page and you can see what this is. Now, do remember that I start this every week with a plug for them. This is actually a peek at the week gone by, but it's not gone by as of today. It's gone by as of Monday, the first day of the week. So when I told you this is headlines for the week ending the 28th, if you include this one, it's for the fortnight ending the 28th. But anyway, it's also a good prompt for me to see if I actually missed anything before we move on to this week. On Thursday, yes, they had a all-night meeting about psychology and XR. I suspect there'll be a video or something like that come up before long. New controllers from Sony. Those are the things at the top of the flagship post there, as it were. And wrist things. The passport revealing work on future, of course. Don't they always? Every week there seem to be. Oh, it's the God Emperor's broadcast about the future this week. Yes. And there'll be another future next week. Yes. And next week. And the week after. And when the future comes, there'll be a new future to see of Facebook. Okay, sorry, Pat. Absolutely silent. The audience should be laughing.
I don't know about that. How about a
Oh well,
howl?
at least we got a sound effect for the Scarred Ghost. Fair
Right,
enough.
right.
Anyway, nothing much else to cover there. There's always just too much of the Emperor himself, so to speak. The XR Peak Week, and you'll find it at scarredghost.com, and it's March the 22nd, but it's looking back on the week prior to that. So I can now move on to kind of. I'm going to start with some of the videos that are actually aren't in my feed this week. There's just four of them, so I'll point them out to you as we go. Um, the first one, YouTube.com, of course. Oh, that's actually halfway through. No wonder. There we are. You can see what's happening. This is a program called Argil, ARGIL, and it's natural sculpting inside VR. So I used to have a desktop program that was exactly like this. It always, I can't remember what it's called, but um, it was like a lump of clay or plasticine, and it was exactly circular like this. And you had all the tools to distort it and make it into any kind of sculpture you want, and then rotate around it to have a look at it. And when you'd actually finished it, you were actually able to use the 3D object you created and export it into Flash. Now, of course, Flash, Metro Flash, that was quite a long while ago, but it was great fun at the time. But as you can see, you basically just squash the globe like putty until you've got what you want. That would do. Now, for artists and sculptors, especially, I reckon this would be a delight. I mean, the one you're able to use on the desktop did sort of work, but I imagine, if you can hold this blob in your hands like a lump of putty, you've got much will. And, the hand controllers are sensitive enough, you can literally mold it into exactly what you want. Yeah, but when I had to do it with a mouse, it was a lot easier than trying to do it with an arrow key or a shift key or something like that. But nevertheless, it was of its time. It was absolutely great. But yeah, this seems to be a sort of program that is almost made for headset land. Now, I'm not the biggest headset fan, in terms of having a wearing one all day long or whatever. But certainly in a creative department or something, it'd be nice to have this on hand and a headset on your desk that you can go in and literally mold your own statue, and or you could be. There's all sorts of fun things you can do with molding. I mean, you can make your own logo with it. I don't mean just sculpt out a logo made of letters or something. But you know how many logos not only have the letters of the brand or whatever, but they have a sort of iconic shape that goes with them. Well, when you do that shape in 3D, and then even if you end up exporting it as 2D after you've rotated it and lit it and got it to the exact thing you want, fun thing to do. Um, you know, total immersion, so to speak. Anyway, I'm gonna put that one away. I am. Yummy, yummy, yum. What was it? Popeye says, I think. Never mind. I am. I am. Right. Gotta stop being silly too. Right. Okay. So moving on. Right. From later in the week here. I've forgotten. I didn't tell you where to go to get that, did I? Not helpful. Um, the subscriber's name is Argil-Natural VR Sculpting, and presumably Valkyrie Industries, and presumably. Sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about here. The actual post where you can find this is VR Focus, the YouTube channel. Right. So there he is, sculpting away. Okay, how do I close that? I don't. I overwrite it. That's what I do. Okay. Oh dear. Right, this is this week in XR. Out 27th of March, which would have been Friday, I guess. I think. No, it's yesterday actually. Um, this is Charlie Fisk and Ted Shilowitz. So Charlie Fink, not Fisk. What am I talking about? You can tell I'm not on form today, am I? Sorry, Charlie. Right. This week in XR is the name of the YouTube account. And this one runs for about half an hour. They have a guest. They did have a guest in here. Oh yeah, here we are. She needs no introduction. It's Anthea Demos and Doug Jacobson. So there are two of them. I only got as far as one. Mm.
And it's just a game of and I think it's great.
Oh well. Oh yeah, there they are now.
Friday night, and then we did New Year's, which was a massive, amazing celebration with we had 30 or 40 worlds participate.
Right. Yeah. So here we are. This is Anthea Demos and Doug Jacobson. 30 or 50 worlds, did she say?
Of our 200 worlds we had for Burn Week, and we started doing Friday night parties to stress test them and see how it worked and test out different hacks.
Okay, well that bit, I think that's bit she's talking about Burning Man online festivals there, where they had rather a number of different virtual worlds taking part, although some got more mileage out of it than others. Anyway, good half-hour talk there this week in XR, and this week in XR is the site you want to go to actually listen to it. Then we come to season 3, episode 14 of Between Realities. This is the one I was getting confused about, because this is Between Realities is the YouTube site you want. And this again was a couple of days ago. You can see that you'll recognize them because we showed them quite a bit here.
Friday is VR time, weekend time is Kong vs. Godzilla time, and I'm rocking Godzilla. Nice. Yeah. Steve is a hardcore guy.
Right. Their guest is somebody called Phia, Phia, who's from the Virtuality show on YouTube. VR video creator and VTuber. I think I follow her actually, but she really covers. I'm just going to double check here, but she covers so much. Although it's called the Virtuality show, it's not quite it goes way beyond virtuality in many ways. Yeah, there's the links down there. Anyway, yeah, this is Between Realities, the site you can see there, and we'll just play it
Great
along.
scene, dude. Like we actually, like you know, most of the
She
time
actually
Steve and I
comes
stay
on
in
as a
touch
kind of
throughout the week, you
avatar,
know,
so
maybe we'll
there we are. This is this,
YouTube and a YouTuber
the
simultaneously.
Sai comes in and they
and together,
introduce her.
She does all kinds of our content. Welcome to the show, Via.
So a bit of avatar and RL mixing there.
It's so
Thank
good
you
to
so
see
much.
you guys. So excited to be here.
We are so excited to have you.
Yes,
And
stoked.
before the show, Steven and I were like taking bets. We were like, all right, are we gonna get real Fia or virtual Fia? You know, and like he like was thinking.
So they got the virtual one, obviously. Actually, interesting. There's a good chat replay going on with this. When I see the chat replays going through in the same time as the video, I think, oh, they're live. But they're not. It's the chat that was live while they were live, if you see what I mean. So anyway, right. So as I say, that's Between Realities, and then finally, not the final video, but because some of the others are in links. But this one is one that I just caught now, although it actually comes from earlier in the week. I don't know why it wasn't on my list.
Hello and welcome.
This is the VR download. It's number 58, and it's the Monday edition of the VR download where they're looking at technology and stuff like that. It's live on Mondays at 1 p.m. Pacific. That's too late for me, so I always get it on Tuesday as a rule. And in fact, it was James here who reminded me about this. Now, I can't play this, so it wouldn't be fair for them if I played all 57 minutes of it anyway. So, James, you pointed out a few kind of highlights on this particular show, didn't you?
Well, one highlight was just the fact that the studio engineer had, they use in-world tablets so that when they have their headsets on, when they're conducting the program, they can see the links in the chat inside their helmets. And the engineer had flipped Kyle's tablet upside down. So he was trying to read the chat and his notes upside down in VR. So it added some fun humor. And then they,
I bet you
yeah. You know, engineers are liable to do things like that. And then what I noted was just some more serious talk about the Apple augmented reality hardware that is passing around the internet, and they seem to have some solid information about it. So I would suggest getting a first-hand view of that to get some more info about what Apple might be releasing upon us.
Very good.
Yep.
I hadn't played it all the way through this one, so obviously I had missed that bit myself. Generally speaking, as you probably realise, I haven't included many. If Apple gets a new patent that relates to headsets or sound or VR or something, I cover that. But the rumour mill where Apple's concerned is horrific. I mean, even more than Microsoft used to be. I mean, there are people out there who bloggers or tipsters that are actually do have a reputation for reliable leaks. They're still leaks, and a lot of people, journalists, commentators, and things do get very excited and go public with their sort of discussion about it. And well, in print especially, I don't want I don't want to risk putting something up that may not be actual news or may not be true. Speculation. But obviously, you can get away with a lot more on a talk show like this because it's very obvious. Because you're in a discussion, so it's not like you're putting very strict words on paper and telling lies or absolute speculation. You're sort of firing off, unless the two people totally agree. There's going to be a bit of randomness about it, and if both people agreed, you wouldn't be getting the conversation in the first place, would you? So yeah, fair enough. I will put that on my list of things to catch up on this week, as well as the new stuff when it is coming in. See what happens there. But anyway, as I said, the site you want here again is Upload VR. That's upload normal lettering and then VR in caps, no space, just Upload VR. And You can find them on YouTube under that account. You can subscribe to them. You can also join. They have a button for joining too. So subscribing is normally enough, but I think join is probably maybe more helpful when the live chat when they're actually live. Not quite sure how the join thing works. We haven't got a join button. I don't think we have anyway. If we have, nobody uses it or it doesn't do anything. So there you go. Right, back to the actual proper news now. So everything here on in, you will find the links at twitter.com/Malburns. And there is nothing that leads to the Metaworld news site this week. Well, there is stuff, but it's not stuff that you're going to hear here, if you see what I mean. Okay, so we're starting really at the most recent. We're working back in the week here. Well, no, we're not. No, we're starting early in the week. Sorry. Never know which way we're going here. How will the augmented reality cloud unlock the spatial web? I've got to say, right, to their credit, they haven't mentioned Facebook Oculus until the second sentence. They did wait, you know. The first sentence says, "A striking realization about spatial computing is they're almost 7 years into the sector's current stage." Then they mention, you know who. Anyway, the acquisition in early 2014 that kicked off the current wave of exciting, including lots of ups and downs in the intervening years. Okay, AR Insider is the site we're on here. ARINSIDER dot and then co, just a CO, not a com, a co. And really, they're giving a bit of a summary of a recent report from AR Artillery on spatial computing 2020 lessons 2021 outlook. And as you can see, they go into quite a bit of detail there. Very sort of technical, you know, but if you're in the business of AR, VR kind of thing, especially AR in this case, then there may be stuff you're interested in there. People are more, you know, it just depends where you are, really. AR and VR are separate things, but they both come under MR and they both come under XR, and of course we are. But we'll come to that later. So I'm hijacking the byline here, right? But this really is very particular to AR, which is augmented reality. So there you again go for that one. ARinsider.co. Moving on. Now, this is a site called artnet.com, and it's actually their news site. So it's news.artnet.com. And it's fascinating. This is two pieces on art this week coming up. We've been hearing about the blockchain and you know, these virtual things and people's first tweets and stuff like that selling for huge amounts of digital money or whatever the stuff is, NFTs and stuff. Don't know here. One of the main players in that field, I mean, is Decentraland, blockchain world, and they say this article's about. Remember, this is Artnet. This is not Art Journal. In fact, I think it's if you follow the links, you're okay. But most of it's behind that firewall. It's a news site for artists, basically, of the fine art collectors sort of breed. Anyway, they're talking about a Berlin gallery that's actually selling non-fungible tokens of digital works, rather like first tweets, but considerably more interesting than somebody's basic first tweet, I think. And it's actually on for show in a gallery called Koenig Gallery, and the gallery and the show itself is hosted in this virtual world called Decentraland, and the Decentraland is a blockchain sort of engine underneath it, basically. And it's bringing together 50 young artists who recalibrate traditional artistic norms to today's techno-mediated attention economy, where personalities are brands and likes are the yardstick of success. So the show is got 70 artworks. It's called The Artist is Online. And that, for example, is Chloe Wise. Artist, that is. The model is Rachel. Gosh, God. Oh, Floridian Boy Scout. That looks like a woman. It is. That's definitely not a Boy Scout. Come on. Okay, okay. Well, nice picture anyway. Well, don't know whether I can say the same about this. Art is art, isn't it? It's always an acquired taste. You know, all these are selling us with NFTs, I guess. Um, I don't know where the actual art becomes the NFT or whether your ownership is the NFT and you pay with film. Oh, I don't know. Interesting stuff, but I really don't know what the hell's going on with some of this stuff. Anyway, that is news.artnet.com, and I'm going to jump down my list here because while we're on art, I can see another one I put up here. This is a pioneer artist who paints in virtual reality herself, and this is a post at a site called Odyssey Central. Yes, it's not that odd. There's Rosie VR and all sorts of others. OTTYCENTRAL.com. And her works are beyond impressive. She's a talented French-Russian artist called Anna, Russian name. She's been pushing the boundaries of painting by combining the centuries-old art form with one of the most advanced technologies of our time, virtual reality. So, what makes her art so special is she uses software like Tilt Brush, Masterpiece, and Anim VR, and the headset, and she paints three-dimensional works, often referred to as painted sculptures. She's also performed this stuff at events all over the world, like the Louvre Museum, and she's recognised a pioneer in the fields of virtuality. Blah blah blah. There's something very captivating about that. It's that picture shows her in virtuality with a headset on, but everything else about the environment is very classic painting. There's no, you don't actually have any real telltales that it's 3D, except for her presence, in the space where she's painted it. So anyway, this is all very interesting. I like it all. And scroll down, right? And we'll just have a look at this. Because as the camera moves, you can tell much more. Okay, well, I think I've shown you enough without spoiling the whole thing. That's about as well. About 3 hours 18. Oh, you've had 2 minutes or 3 minutes 18. Sorry. Oh, great! That is absolutely great stuff. I mean, if I sound down on headset contraptions quite a lot, it's just the weight in the contraption. The fact that somebody can go in there and literally do that, and the way that's been filmed just shows you how somebody sculpted their own environment and they're just in it while they're doing it. And you don't do anything like that, do you, James?
A little bit. I mean, not professionally, but the
Uh-uh.
tools are so fun and they're so easy to get to. It's a blast.
Yeah. So what tilt brush you've used, for example? Yeah.
Oh, there are so many of these sculpting tools that are available. And so there's Sculpt VR, there's tilt brushes available free now. There's a lot of these sculpting tools. They're quite fun. They're quite
Uh,
intuitive, because you're using your arm, to move around and do things like you would at a canvas.
sure. And that's quite like the touch screens, with pens and stuff. I kind of like,
Sure,
although
sure, yep.
it's not, although often it's a problem of getting, I sign my name on a tablet and it takes up the whole screen or more.
Yeah.
Getting things sized right, even with the Apple Pencil is not always the easiest.
I think it's hard to
But
talk about it without doing it.
yeah,
Once you're able to be inside of it and experience, it's quite profound.
so much of what I think of in drawing and painting and artwork, of course, is well, it's arranging things, but more to the point, it involves a surface. So when you're drawing on a piece of paper, you're just drawing a shape. When you're drawing digitally and you've got, say, a pressure sensitive pad or stuff, it can respond to your pressure, right? So it gets even more real, responding to pressure. And you can apply a paper that has a certain kind of absorbency or not, as the case may be, that will affect how the paint or the ink or whatever it is rests on the paper. But you're always applying it, and if you want an effect, you're suppressing and like spreading paint or ink out or making it more absorbent. So the idea that when I see people literally drawing in thin air, where they're not actually pressing on any kind of surface, which I find is odd because to watch it, it's very hard to see how the paint is resting in a certain space. Like when the guy was sculpting a sort of what was it, a dragon, I think it was. Um, some of it was clearly in the foreground and at the side and behind, but how do you get the texture to stop at a certain point when you're actually painting in thin air and there's no solid there, if you see what I mean? Anyway, like you say, I'd have to try it out and see, Um, I'd like to think that when the smart glasses come along instead of the clunky headsets, if I actually get something like that, I might actually have a go at it. Though my abilities these days are very limited compared with what I used to do. But like you say, it would be fun to try it,
Hmm.
um, or even visit an exhibit like the one that girl was in, Anno Dreambrush. Anyway, so that's she has an official website. And she's on Instagram too, which is all very good. So I've got to go back up my list again here to get back to where I was. Okay, now a global news wire here. Um, oh yes, Odyssey Central was where that article on her was, right? Okay, Real-Time Conference returns April 26th to 28th with merging physical and digital worlds, the rise of the metaverse. Yeah, it seems to me that people are rushing into the return of real world events, so to speak, rather quickly. This is actually April 26th to 28th. Um, it's a live. Oh, hang on. Okay, sorry. I think I got this all wrong. It says live online only show. But then it says it's real time and it's merging physical and oh, this is very confusing. Okay. I think it'd be largely online then. Maybe they have an invited real world audience or something. Highlighting real time technology to create new workplaces, new workflows, and new ways of staying connected while remaining apart. So the subject wise, they're still clearly in COVID land at least. Um, yeah, various people there. The Kronos Group, who of course are working on standards for the metaverse, and they will be delivering an opening keyword, building the metaverse one standard at a time. Nice play on words there. Somebody from the Unreal Engine, which is Epic Games, of course, collaborative work in creative industries, and then a panel of different CEOs discussing feedback from the year of the pandemic and all sorts of stuff. Sessions will be hosted by experts and companies that are leading the way, including Fast Sport Reality, Epic Games, Varjo, Lucid Motors, Volkswagen, Framestore, Intel, TrueView, AccuCentre, and the NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory, with more to be announced soon. Okay, pretty high level stuff this will be by the sound of it. And I imagine things like this tend to come with a fairly hefty price tag. There's a link here, though, for realtimeconference.com, which is where you can register for it and find out a bit more. This post is actually in a news feed. It's at globalnewswire.com, GLOBENEWSWIRE.com. And I'm actually going to click straight through onto their site so that if you are interested, if you don't want to go to NetNewsWire, there we go. RTC 2021. Register now. And yep, international stuff, blah, blah, blah. There's the ambitious roadmap. No sign, this is like restaurants which bring you the menu with not a hint of a price inside. You know before you order that you're not going to like the price. Anyway, you can obviously register. You can obviously register here. So this is realtimeconference.com. Right, moving on. Now, my friends David Byrne at Dayton.com. Actually, he often retweets me, but he didn't retweet this one, which surprised me. Next time I see him around, I'll have to post this to him. Right, this is a post at arpost.co again, arpost.co. And it's talking about how virtuality data visualization sets a new standard for big data. Now, it's not that much of a new standard now. I mean, Dayton, for example, did this 10 years ago. They were doing this in Second Life. The whole, where it starts, right, is you've now got live updates and ways of changing things based on data, but the way it actually started was you took something like a pie chart or what's the other one, the columns one.
Bar chart.
Bar chart, that's it, yeah. And you extruded them in a 3D environment, so it not only made your tower 3D, like a skyscraper instead of just a big tower on a piece of paper. But it had a third dimension of information. So you would have a graph that showed you dates, and then volume of something, a volume of whatever shipping has been shipped over those dates or whatever. But the moment it becomes 3D, you can add a third element into that. So you can maybe another breakdown of categories or something you can't possibly get on a 3D sheet, other than having a sheet with an overlay that gives you all the different types of information. So visualizing and playing with that data in 3D is a huge step forward to anything you can do with statistics on charts in 2D. You can't go, there's no such thing as 4D yet, although data would be the sort of thing that would love it. Well, I don't know, it really is a new standard now because, as I said, it's been going on for rather a while. But it's interesting that there's more reportage on it, really. During my 14 years at Morgan Stanley as an investment analyst, by far his biggest challenge was trying to process a daily deluge of information until 2016 when he started using Virtuality. And I had two thoughts. VR is going to be the most revolutionary technology of my lifetime. And second, it can transform the process of data analysis and presentation, etc., etc. So, not much more to say about this. It is what it is. But if data management and visualization in 3D, etc., is your thing, then a load of interesting stuff here to go into. It sounds rather technical, but actually it's written very, very sort of accessible language. Actually, if you're into that kind of stuff, so good bit of reporting on that. One of the really useful things that's been going on, as I say, for about 10 years with VR, which, yeah, it's not a mainstream function, but, data runs everything. So being able to visualize it virtually is very useful. Right, moving on. This again, this is at vrfocus.com and it's about RI VR. Cunning play on the word river, I think there. They're specialists in creating photorealistic VR environments for a range of organisation, including fire rescue services, police, etc., etc. They're based in Warwickshire, and they've begun a project close to their hearts at their location, where they're uncovering and mapping the secret tunnels of Warwick for anyone to explore. Now, this is kind of fun. It's a real world application of mapping real world tunnels into VR. I mean, if you can actually go down there and explore them, an AR overlay is useful. If you can't get into them at all, then the VR simulation is probably good. So it's all well and good. These are the two guys behind it with their river. Alexa, shut up. Sorry about that, folks. She's in the mood. I don't know what. I don't know why. Right. Okay. And here we are, creating VR worlds. I don't think. Yeah, this is just 1 minute, so let's have a look.
It's just intriguing us and for everyone else that lives in around all of the history of the area, lovely architecture that we've got. There's so much for us as a VR creative content company to go at.
Photogrammetry is the process of taking thousands of images of any real place, person, object, and taking those and turning into a really photorealistic 3D.
Right. So now the reason I added that to my list when it came in, actually, I'll let you into a little secret here. I went to school for most of, from about 11 years old through to about 10 or so in Warwick, in a school called Warwick School. And it's it's got a castle, lovely castle. It's an intriguing, almost medieval feeling town. I mean, there are modern buildings in it, and it's on a hill too. And there were always nooks and crannies and things to explore. So it's a long time ago now. It's 50 years ago, more than 50 years ago since I was there. But it's seeing this thing happening on Warwick brought back a few memories. So that's the real reason I tweeted that one. Oh, there are many similar things around. So I'm really just saying I tweeted it because of personal interest. But
Very, very
there's so
fun.
many
Yeah.
of so many of these things happening these days that it's as good as any example of that kind of thing. Okay, data visualization I did, and I did the artist. So we're now okay. Here's a good one for you: virtual reality and the divided self. God, that sounds profound, doesn't it? Well, this is at somewhere called sorry, let's start again. IAI dot TV. Can virtuality help us live in an increasingly digital world? So, well, I suppose virtuality, if you have an avatar, you already have us. If it's in Second Life or OpenSim or one of these worlds where you can really customize it and it becomes a second identity, then you already have the divided self. Now, the divided self could be referred to as an, you know, um, in terms of attention span or whatever, the things you do on one platform as opposed to on another platform, or should I say real life? Or it could be the dual identity thing, where the identity of your digital self is very different from your real world self. So you've divided on the identity level. But I like that expression, the divided self, I must say. It's sort of Okay, folks, I'm about to divide. You can imagine going on stage. This half's going virtual, and this half is in Cloud Cuckoo Land. Yeah, never mind. But you get the idea, right? So, they look at lots of very basic analysis and stuff. Unfortunately, they do have to pay attention to the fast book as well, of course. Trade-offs and challenges. Interrogating the age of surveillance capitalism. I mean, the world is not short of intriguing headlines these days, I've got to say. Okay. When a culture is out of sync, evolution feels like whiplash. Um, yeah, some good stuff. Oh, finally, it mentions philosophy, which I guess in many ways is what this is all about, and the big picture. Let's see. Warning and stuff. Progress in civilization is not wholly a uniform drift towards better things. It may wear that aspect. We map it on a scale which is large enough, but kind of skill details, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I'm not going to read it all out. If this is your thing, this is your thing. You'll find this, as I say, the easiest link in the world, really, if you can remember it. IAI.TV. And read all about it, as they say. Right, so we're getting near the end of the list already today. This is going to be a short show, folks, unless I find a rabbit hole to jump down in the next half hour. If that. Okay, this is another virtual world, really. One of the newer ones on the scene, obviously having a bit of a hyping themselves up like everybody else is doing these days. This is a bit of a nerve in many ways, but let's see. They're called Metaworld, and they aim to be Second Life in virtuality. But as the reviewer here mentions, its hand tracking has a life of its own. I'm not quite sure that means you go into a Second Life environment, but it's actually in headset land. But your hands go all over the place. Hopefully, this is not an adult world. Sorry. Right. The jokes are hidden there somewhere, aren't they? Right. Creation of persistent, physically impossible world you can freely explore with your friends, all the while being an idealist avatar of your choosing. It's the central conceit of Ernest Cline's Ready Player One and Neil Stephenson's Snow Crash, amongst other works, and has certain companies that shall remain nameless clamoring to turn it into reality. Yes, right. Delicately, didn't I? Right. But the F-Book Horizon and everything has been beaten to the punch, according to this article, by Metaworld, a virtual reality social platform developed by XR Space. Basically, it's Second Life of VR. And although it's a bit rough around the edges, it shows the potential for interactive social spaces in the virtual realm. Now, I must say, having seen shots of the Fastbook Horizons, which is the one they reckon they've beaten to the punch, so to speak, it looks considerably better than the God Emperor's idea of avatars. It's not quite Second Life, but I mean, it's fairly compelling. Those avatars are pretty reasonable, and I presume if they come that far, they can't be that far away from customizing them. Anyway, XR Space are the developers, and they've got quite a VR pedigree. They're led by Peter Chow, the co-founder of HTC, who spearheaded that company's leading charge into VR with HTC Vive. And rather than flashy games or establishing big business franchise, XR Space's vision for VR is all about being social. From meetups with your pals to educational seminars to business spaces, XR Space hopes to host it all on Metaworld. So this is really totally our cup of tea, if you see what I mean, in terms of a new entrant. For everything we're interested in. It does appear, from what I can read here, that they are building it out for VR, meaning headset land. In other words, the full 3D headset immersion. And that way, of course, does set it apart from things like Second Life or OpenSim, which are not compatible with 3D headsets. There are some programs that sort of trick you into making them compatible, but they really aren't in any real sense. So XR Space is diving straight into the full 3D experience, and hopefully filling a gap there, and possibly beating somebody else to it. Anyway, currently it's exclusive to XR Space Manova's headset, so they've got their own headset you can buy to use if you want early access to this. It's all built in house, all in one device, costs 499 euros. So in British money, that's about £430, and US dollars, that's about 590 US dollars. It's a little behind the curve with a plasticky construction that undersells what's going on under the roof. Powered by, well, I'm not going to, it tells you what it's all by and everything else. So, half of this is promo for the world, and part of it is promo for their own headset. But that's really as it stands at the moment. It's nothing to say you won't be able to get the experience in other headsets too, as it moves out. Well, I suppose you call it beta, really. So yeah, I'm going to be keeping an eye on that one. Hopefully, that maybe even they've got a Discord channel or something, though it's not mentioned here. So find out what's going on with them. So for the moment, anyway, this post is at techradar.com. So that's techradar.com. And this particular post was 4 days ago. You can, of course, move straight through to XR Space's site themselves. Oh, well, actually, sorry, that's just an earlier post at TechRadar. So yeah, techradar.com, or follow my Twitter feed. You'll get the exact link. Need it. Right, now this week in XR, we saw earlier the Polythinks podcast or videocast or whatever you want to call it. This very similar title really is his column at Forbes.com. So it's FORBES.com. Frequently when you go here, you might have a problem accessing it through a paywall. But as you can, I usually get an alert when I try to get through, but because I load it into a reader that you see here, it seems to bypass the requirement for me to log in. So just a little hint there, if you want to read anything, log in and read a view rather than a web page. Right, so welcome to HVL Content and blah, blah, blah. This is still from Rec Room, which is another social world. Lovely little spelling mistake here. Rec Room, cough, cough. But that's only the small print at least. It was valued recently at 1.125 billion US dollars during a recent funding round, and first VR content company to hit such a valuation. It's a free social VR platform and has over 1 million active monthly users and 15 million lifetime users, generating more revenue from in-game sales due to the pandemic, etc., etc., etc. And 15% of the audience are what they call makers, in other words, people that create the stuff in the world for consumption by others. I guess best way to put it. Anyway, they've been around a while. I've been in a Rec Room on Discord channel for donkey's years, 2 years or something at least, I should think. So it is another player here, and if I remember rightly, there is a 2D on-screen version of this as well as the 3D one, and also we're down here. They're covering other similar platforms. So read about This Week in XR by Charlie Fink at Forbes.com, FORBES.com. And moving on, we're going to end more or less where we started. This is ScarredGhost.com, SKARREDGHOST.com, and yo! Oh, let's get spooky, man. How long have we got? Oh no, we've got ages to go before Halloween. I read a blog this week which was something about Halloween, and I kept on thinking, oh, not already. And then I realized, no, it's definitely not already. I know virtual worlds start Halloween at the beginning of October instead of the end, but I mean, there are limits. We haven't had April Fool's Day yet, so we can't have Halloween yet, please. Anyway, Scott Ghost again. He's apologising here. He said he had a nice chat about the Open AR cloud with two amazing professionals working on it. This was back in December 2020, and he says, unluckily, it was a very complicated period for me because he was working to deliver Jean-Michel Jarre's concert, and he'd forgotten about publishing it. So he's finally got round to publishing it. Basically, it was a 3-day workshop at IEEE VR about the OpenAI cloud. Plenty of links here, of course. And basically, this is the interview. This, I think,
Our physical reality is changing. The internet is moving off screen and out into the world around us. Digital information, content, and shared experiences blend into impacting every aspect of our lives, culture, and economy. This feature is made possible by AR cloud technology, which includes machine-readable maps that tech giants and startups are currently spending billions of dollars to reach its full potential. AR cloud applications, content, and experiences must be accessible and work seamlessly for anyone, anywhere, on any device, without unjustified restrictions. Above all, personal, private, and sensitive data collection must be limited, compartmentalized, and protected at all costs. We must earn and preserve trust, open, interoperable systems that deliver authentic shared experiences. The time to act is now. Join us at the dawn of this new era and help influence how it all begins. Visit openarcloud.org to get more info. Join working groups and get involved.
etc. etc. Right, good open source stuff. Now, basically, Skull Ghost had a talk with, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name, co-founder of Augmented City there, and somebody from Nova B, virtual art production company. And he does apologize. Basically, the talk here is video. He says, I'm not very lucid in this interview. And of course, for those who've seen his other videos, realize that his accent, although he speaks English, makes it a bit harder anyway. But he says the answers that Julia and Vladimir gave him are very interesting all the same. So sort of bear with him, so to speak. The actual video, it was a Google Meet thing. It wasn't a Zoom call, but it was something like that. Well, it would. Oh yeah.
You have those private clouds that are.
Oh, I see. So some of it was full screen. So
for application and check whether it becomes popular. Then first you get it for free or till some threshold.
Yeah, well, as you can tell, there's definitely foreign accents flying around there, but very interesting stuff all the same. And we're big fans of open source things around here anyway. So a few more video. I mean, Scar Ghost cannot possibly write about a blog that isn't a book in itself, including embedded videos. So there's more than enough to read here, even if you don't actually check out the video itself. So scarredghost.com, SKARREDGHOST.com, a friendly chat on the OpenAI cloud and its advantages. And finally, believe it or not, we're on the final post already this week. God, we might even be under an hour this way. I don't know. Anyway, this is another March 26th. This appeared today. The neuroscience of virtuality and health. This is a totally academic exercise. It's an overview of something in neuroscience of virtuality, from virtual exposure to embodied medicine. And well, it's a synopsis and a whole load of stuff too. It's a long read, and I'm not even going to sort of go on about well, the stuff it covers. It's available data showing VR is able to reduce anxiety symptoms, etc., etc., etc. And altered functioning of the body matrix. It's all neuroscience to me. Yes, it is. What can I say? Find this at axonpark.com. That's AXONPARK.com. And suitably obscure reading, really, but highly relevant to VR, of course. So that's it. That's it. James, would you believe it?
I kind of can't believe it.
It's hard. It's very hard,
It's
isn't
hard to
it?
believe. It is. That's very short.
We've got today's show down to the good old fashioned hour, I think,
1 hour.
give or take a couple of minutes.
Right.
And I can't even think of a rabbit hole to jump into. Extend
Nope.
it.
Nope.
Have you got any rabbit holes for me?
Well,
let me start. Any thoughts on
we've
what
come
has
to the
gone
end
so
of the
far?
internet. It's the end of the internet. You have reached the end.
Yeah. Oddly enough, I didn't post it on Twitter. There was literally a very interesting post. I think I've saved it in Pocket or somewhere. Sometime this week, which literally that was the title of it, the end of the internet.
Mm-hmm.
It was, of course, referring to the end of what the internet was designed to be.
Yeah.
Rather than what we now still call the internet. It's as good a word as any, but it's no longer what it was. It's an adjective for a different. Hang on, it's a different adjective now. It means something else. Uncontrolled intrusion and advertising and God
I
knows
see.
what.
Okay.
But I can't quite remember. Oh no, it's too hard to look it up here while I'm live. But I think I've saved the article somewhere. Well, I might even have posted it on Facebook. Occasionally, I paste basically a bit of music, a bit of art, and stuff of interest to old friends. I sometimes put on Facebook. The majority of my Facebook links are actually about how bad Facebook is. I suppose I haven't been banned yet. I've been suspended 3 times in the last month, but not because of anything I posted, but because of alerts over, somebody trying to log in as me or something. But I think usually it's just me adding some device to my arsenal of devices,
All right.
Whatever. Yeah. So okay. Well, that is it, folks. I think.
I
It's
think
nice to
so.
have it's nice to have a quieter week for once, and especially after the conference that had only just finished last week. So we could take it easy a bit. Yeah. So next week we'll be back as ever. Of course. I presume this is what Easter's the same all over the world, isn't it?
Oh, gracious. Yeah. All over the Catholic world.
Yeah, well, apparently it's Easter weekend, so it's a holiday sort of weekend in the UK next week. The Friday is Good Friday, and the Monday is a holiday Monday, Easter Monday. So it's 2 holiday days and the weekend in between. So it's just like a 4-day holiday. So it will probably be a time when there's loads of fun things being put on because it's a bank holiday. It will also be a time when actual real news is probably relatively quiet because it's a holiday.
Yeah, probably.
Go figure. It's funny because I go through all my feeds here every morning when I wake up, literally 7 days a week, unless something interrupts my sort of flow, which is very rare these days in lockdown. And there is still quite a hint, even in these days with lockdown, when every day falls into the next. I kind of always sort of know when it's Saturday because there's less, how should we say, hardcore news in the news feed. But the virtual world feeds, pictures from Second Life and videos from Second Life and all that stuff, there's massive more, on an average day, I've got a Flickr feed with about 300 Flickr photos in it from mostly Second Life. At the weekend, it's not 300, it's near on 3,000. Because it gives it's information in itself to me because it tells me that there's a percentage of people posting from inside virtual worlds, things like photos and videos, that just goes up ballistically at the weekend. So, you know, lots of the residents of these places are people who probably, you know, they're working in the week or they're tired in the evening or something, and they really suddenly emerge at the weekend. So there's no shortage of stuff coming in my feeds. But the key thing is the nature of it is very different on Saturdays and Sundays, and then tomorrow being Monday, it'd be back to, you know, the news reports and breaking news stuff. Funny old world. So at least something, there's something still left that will let me tell Sunday and Monday apart.
All right.
Wonderful. Even
Okay.
in a pandemic, I can still tell Sunday from Monday. Or Friday from Saturday, for that matter.
Right.
I can't tell Saturday from Sunday. Right, rabbit hole.
Unless it's doing a broadcast from Sansar.
Yes, indeed. Well, it won't be I'm glad we're on the normal east-south separation now, but there've been a couple of times since lockdown where I've, you know, it's a good thing I don't have to wake up and do this early in the morning on Sunday morning, my time, because there have been days when I've forgotten it's Sunday, and it's only as the day has gone on that I remember, it's show day, you know.
Right.
Whereas it used to be every day of the week was like clockwork, and there were different things on different days that, you know, set them apart from each other. But...
Well, and the audience should know it was time change also in Europe, so that makes today fun.
Yes, indeed. I mean, I always thought, in fact, I think sometimes we've been 3 weeks behind America. We're only 1 week separate at the other end of the year when we put them back off, back forward, upside down.
Fall back.
Yeah, when you put them forward, you lose an hour, and whenever you put them back, you gain an hour, and it's sort of, I think forward should be gained, shouldn't it? Back should be lose, but it doesn't work out like that. Oh, strange things. So there was a blog on Time earlier in the week too. Scientists have now come up with a new subparticle. There's you know, it's like going into quantum mechanics.
Yeah, sure.
Apparently, there's some facet to time that we hadn't realised is there, but they're not quite sure about what to make of it yet. I don't think it's anything tangible enough for us to be worried about.
Yeah.
We're not going to have any time machines in the near future, but it does have something to do with the ebb and flow of what we think of as time not being what we think it is. Exactly.
Well, I'm always going to be disappointed with time until we have metric time. So.
Which is, like in the tens and hundreds.
You betcha. Yes, sir. The way it should be.
We have hours and minutes, and we've still got years, and this is true. We could get rid of all these. Well, we wouldn't have a 24-hour day then, would we?
Right. We'd have a 10-hour day. Or technically, we'd have 10 deci days and 100 centi days.
Yeah,
for 1 day.
But all the time fragments would be different. A second wouldn't be a second because
That's correct.
Because you still need 24 of the current hours to get past the whole day. So however you would define it, it would have to be 100 something, but would have to still make up what we think of as 24 hours. Except not exactly, because we won't need leap years anymore. And we don't need to adjust the clocks every.
It'll hurt your brain, Mal. It'll hurt.
It already does.
Don't go too deep, right?
Unfortunately, I do. It's one of these interesting things that sometimes I find myself thinking about, and I think, what if?
France really let us down when they didn't go through with metric time.
Were they tending to?
Yeah, it was part of the whole thing.
Oh, that would have been fun.
It would have.
And then Boris Johnson, we could have had Brexit to just keep normal time.
Right.
Yeah, that would have been an add-on bonus.
Right.
Yeah, Boris could stand up and say, I'm sticking to time.
Right.
I'm going to do it on time. It is time we had a Brexit.
I mean, considerable people have been behind metric time. Napoleon wanted metric time. Henry Ford in the United States wanted metric time, but the forces of society have been against it.
Yeah. I think, I think our current notion of time, I mean, we've got different calendars around the world, depending on cultures, religions, and all sorts of things. But I think our notion of time is still counted the same everywhere on the planet. So, I mean, if it was changed, it would be a pretty global change. And can you imagine time zones in metric?
I would have no time zones in metric. I would have a global time. I've got it all
Yeah,
figured out now. I've got it all figured out. I know that
but this
9
would be
a.m. in my local time is 666 global minutes.
Yeah, but there would still be a
Or
difference in
centidays.
time, depending. There'd still be a difference in time depending on distance from one another.
Nope.
Nope.
Wrong. But we're rabbit holing. I'm going to put up the rabbit hole graphic.
Yeah. Sorry, folks. Right.
We're going down
This
the
kind
rabbit
of,
hole, right?
right. Well, it's just it means we've been able to have 15 minutes to the 11 minutes to the
11
podcast.
minutes. Right. Yep.
So we couldn't come in at under an hour, could we? That would be a disgrace.
That'd be so wrong.
Yeah, so wrong indeed. Right, okay, so we're off, I think. It's goodbye from him.
Oh, that one. Oh, I'm not ready with that shot.
Okay, it's goodbye from James.
And goodbye from Mal.
Goodbye from both of us, because when it comes to VR, or AR, or MR, or XR, or HAHA, we
are.
Yes. Maybe we should record that as a soundbite and get it in sync.
I suppose.
Don't have to do it.
Right.
Don't have to do it every time.
That's right.
Anyway, we will return next week, whether it's an asteroid or whatever it is. Maybe an asteroid on an asteroid. Something that rhymes, doesn't it? Whatever that means. Okay. Have a good week, everybody. Stay safe. I would like to say stay indoors, but if you're in Britain, you've probably just been given permission to not stay indoors anymore, so long as you don't meet more than 2 households at the same time and more than 6 people at the same time. But as usual, it's a rather vague thing. So I would just say keep safe, however you can. And if you want to keep staying indoors, do it. Bye-bye.